Hello, hello, hello. So happy to be here and excited today. I'm Jane Hogan and I am the wellness engineer. I spent 30 years designing foundations for buildings, and now I design foundations in wellness for people who want to achieve optimal health using optimal solutions. So, welcome to the show Wellness by Design. It's a show dedicated to helping people achieve wellness, not by reacting to the world around them, but by intentionally designing a life based on what their own body needs. In this show, we explore practices, methods, and science that contribute to wellness, mind, body, and soul. I'm super excited today to welcome our guest, Gail Carruthers. I'll tell you a little bit about Gail. She's the owner of Sky Blue Acres and is certified in 3 different equine guided learning modalities. She combines equine knowledge with certifications and training as a mediator, conflict resolution trainer, adult education, and experiential teaching facilitator, as well as death, dying, and bereavement certification. So, Gail, welcome to the show. Oops, we got a little bit of internet freezing going on here. Hi, Gail. Oops.
I'm back.
Oh, hi, Gail. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I think I'm there.
You're here. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the internet behaves for us today. I know I'm in a little town. I'm in a little town. You're out in the country, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that it's all working okay. Oops. Rose on again. Oh, wait till Gail can hear me. Oh, dear. Well, I think the internet isn't behaving, so we're going to try this a different way. I'm going to record it on Zoom, and then I will post it afterwards. Oh. Let's just see if she comes back. Oh, there she is again. Woo!
Oh my goodness, I'm
okay.
Internet, man.
Yeah. So we'll give it a try, see how we do. If we're really having a lot of problems, then we can do this on Zoom a different way. I'll record it and post it. But let's see. So maybe we got a better connection now. So Gail, a lot of us in the wellness space have come to this because of our own journey. What's your background? Did you have a journey that brought you into this, or is it just something you always loved doing?
It's such a crazy question. So the fact that I actually live on a horse farm and work with horses does not fit my background. I've come to it really from, I'm going to give you a really quick, because now I teach how to connect to our bodies and the mind body in the context of happiness. But we also bring that into a grief and loss program that I've specifically developed. But it started, honest to God, this started when I was like 8. I had a question for my parents, for my mother specifically, about what happened to people when they died. It was a really quick, I'm just going to make this quick. And her answer didn't feel right to me.
Okay.
At the age. So she said, no, my question was, do these people that our neighbors that I loved, would they go to heaven? And she said no, because they didn't go to church. I know. So I'm getting to the point, but the point was my body, like I was like, what? It hit me on such a visceral level. I could not have used those words at that age. I just knew she was wrong.
Wow.
I knew she was wrong. Don't ask me. So I'm not kidding you, from that moment on, I swear that was the beginning of my search for like, what was I feeling? And that the whole religion thing, that's a whole other topic. but I was like, what was I feeling? So I've developed my, if you want to call it kinesthetic awareness or my intuition, whatever you want to call it. I've been developing that ever since because I felt it such on a visceral level. I just knew she was wrong.
Wow. At 8 years old, so
Yeah.
wise.
Well, I didn't know I was wise. I just knew that whatever I felt, I trusted.
Yeah.
And that's what I developed for the rest of my life. I developed it to such a point where I've made some decisions that people, moving my family from the urban center to a horse farm so that I could literally expand this work, because I started working with horses, and that's when I really realized I was almost like the human version of these horses, like, because horses are so equipped evolutionary wise to be the best teachers for all the things we're going to talk about today. All that social sensual awareness, that kinesthetic awareness, that getting into your body, they are the best teachers for this because of their own specific evolutionary history. And they're a prey animal, but they're also domesticated, so they're accessible to us versus a deer or a rabbit. I mean, rabbits are domesticated, but anyways, not going to work on a rabbit.
I
So
know.
they're
I know my daughter went to an equine therapy ranch, but and everybody who went there, it was a class outing when she was in university, and everybody who went had a profound, direct emotional experience with an animal, one of the horses there. And it's amazing. They are truly amazing animals. So tell me about what you do now.
So I live on a farm. I've got my own 6 horses, plus I board horses. So there's 13 horses on our property. And I work with both owners, so basically to expand your awareness to a social, like a kinesthetic level of it. You've got to be able to, if we're only in our left brains, our neurocortex, you're only going to get so far in life. Emotions have a bad rap. We're living in the Western world. We really don't have a really good relationship with emotions, except maybe a couple. Happiness and joy is okay, but don't be too happy, right? Like even happiness has its limits. Don't be too joyful. That kind of thing. We don't have a great relationship with emotions. We don't even know how to feel them. We don't know. Most people repress them. Most people ignore them. They're not paying attention to them to the degree that they might be on the surface of them, but they're not using them as the information that emotions actually are. There's a huge wealth of information for every emotion that we feel, but we're not listening to them.
Yeah.
We automatically go back to our default, which is our neocortex, which is our left brain, which is where all our analytical, our analysis, our thinking, it's where math resides, and our emotions and our memories and all that. That's all in our limbic system. So to make it really easy, so those two sides, when we used to think that the neocortex, because it's bigger, this must be the most important part of the brain, and that emotions were only in your limbic system. But science has now completely told us a completely different story. Dr. Candace Pert back in the 70s was the first one to map out the neuropeptides, and she was the first one to realize that they are not just in our brains, they are in every major organ, every major system, and every cell in our body. There are receptors on every cell in our body has an emotional receptor. So she clearly defined in her research that the mind is not the same as our brains. Our mind is actually everywhere in our body.
Yes. Yeah.
So the science is there, right? So that spirituality that has been taught, in yoga and in the Eastern medicines for thousands and thousands of years is now being mainstreamed with mainstream science. They've talked about the mind being separate. They've talked about it for thousands of years as well. And now we understand scientifically that the mind is in the body. There is a mind-body connection right off the bat.
Yeah.
So, but we still in Western society assume that our neocortex, that thinking logical brain, we're using that predominantly in making our decisions. And decisions involve being happy. They involve how we grieve. They involve how we build our businesses and how we maintain our businesses. So everything in life is revolving around how you think. And I keep saying, you can't think your way through half the stuff that we try to attribute it to thinking.
Yeah.
It's going to trip you up at some point.
It's so incredible that emotions play such a big role in our physical bodies. I don't think people really realize how much, but they are vibrations. It's connected, as you said, to our mind. We're not separate. It's all together. And so all of that plays a role in how physically we feel. And so it's important to pay attention to that. So how do you take this knowledge that you have now, and this, as you said, the science is proving this now. How do you work that into your business? And I just want to say, just before you answer that, if anyone has a question for Gail, you can type it in the comments, and and we'll answer them as we go along. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to do a quick thing on happiness. So there's happiness research that has been coming out for the last 20 years. And really quickly, happiness research says 50% of our happiness is genetic, meaning predisposed to, we're either an optimist, a pessimist, whether we are depressive tendencies, blah, blah, blah. So 50% is genetic, 10% is our environment, but that leaves 40%. That's a huge number.
Yeah.
And 40% is basically comes down to our choices. How do we choose to be happy? So there's a lot that we can be doing in our lives. And I take that and I use that in the basis of, okay, we can't think our way through a lot of problems. So one of our key programs here, signature programs, is a whole entire grief and loss program that we work with our horses through with. And we basically showing that you can't think your way through grief. You've got to, we bring in the leading research on grief and loss, which is, by the way beyond the 5 steps of grief and loss.
Yes,
that's not. We don't even actually talk about it. There's so much more that will help people, and they need the research is there because people do need to understand the cognitive side of research, what's actually happening. But they also then we give them that ability to open up their social, sensual, kinesthetic awareness. And we do a lot of heart work and opening that heart space for people so that they can stop repressing, ignoring what's happening in their body and start to feel it, because that's the first release of, you have to release the tension. You have to release the stress. So the science is also saying that, again, the science says you can't think your way through stress. And stress, clearly, in a grief and loss situation is huge. It's very, your body is on a huge high stress plateau, stress peak. So how do you deal with that? How do you manage that? And science is clear on that. The neuroscience is very clear. You can't think your way through it.
No.
So we give people the knowledge, which is the research, which a lot of people are like, I never knew that. That alone helps them. But then we combine it with getting into your bodies and how to literally release that valve and how to give you the tools to continue to do that.
So important, because as we said, that, when you hang on to those emotions, if you don't release them, they do come out as pain at some point, somehow, somewhere.
They're going to come out, right,
in your body, and it's going to express itself some way, usually in physical pain. So I don't think I mentioned that your ranch is in Guelph, near Guelph.
Yeah, we're just below. We're in Pouce Lynch, which is I'm 10 minutes from Guelph. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So people come to the ranch to experience this. So what are some of what do your clients say when they're done working through your program?
I've had a range. I've had people tell me that this changed their life. I've had people, we just finished our grief and loss program. It has shifted people's ability onto how to grieve and how to move on. It doesn't replace anything, right? Like everybody's well aware that the deceased is the deceased, the loss is the loss. but how you manage it, and has given people a lifeline. It's given people a lifeline on how to move on with their lives, because everybody who comes here has already decided, they've made the choice. They want to move on with their lives. So we build them a toolkit, and we show them how to build a toolkit on how to move on with their lives, combined with the actual leading research, which helps them, as well as the tools that we give them to maintain those connections. It's not about replacing. It's not about getting over. It's about It's about coming to a place of how to move on, and how to still maintain happiness in your life.
I think what we're finding with stress is it's not the stress itself, it's how we perceive it. So learning any kind of tools that are going to help deal with stress so that it doesn't stay stuck in you, and it can come out.
Right.
So they
and
get
it's not just grief and loss.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So they get a toolkit that they can take with them when they leave for the rest of their life to help them deal with this stress, the grief and loss stress.
It is, but in that toolkit, we've worked with them on very specific activities with our horses, because the horses are the teachers, that allow them to shift mindsets. We work them through, whether this is grief. I want to say it's not just grief and loss that we do here. So whether somebody's looking to work on relationship dynamics, or entrepreneurs that are looking to I always say you can't do anything in your life just thinking. So we help people connect to that side of themselves, that emotional, intuitive, kinesthetic part that allows them to feel their environment, and have an appreciation for timing, because a lot of people do not have an appreciation for timing. We call it Kairos timing. They don't have an appreciation for timing. What that means is, what are the pauses in your life that need to hold? There are times that we need a pause, and we need to be able to hold a pause. But that's where the executive functioning comes in, and our thinking is like, no, keep moving, keep doing, keep busy. And we're like, so the concept of even holding a pause is so foreign to people. Yes. And then so we work them. So there's lots of activities that I have that we work with people to understand what that is in their bodies, and how what that feels like, because you have to feel it first in order to practice holding it. Being able to hold a pause is huge.
Yeah. Can you describe, was it easy for you to describe what that would feel like for people, like holding a pause?
It's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable?
It's uncomfortable. Well, when you're not used to it, it's very uncomfortable, because it's not in our awareness to do so. So I'm describing what people go through when they first start to do it, because they get uncomfortable, and their executive functioning starts to say, no, move, do something. And we're like, so how uncomfortable was that? So then it's a muscle. You have to go ahead.
Physically uncomfortable as well as mentally uncomfortable?
Yeah, because it's called a neural pathway. Your body has a neural pathway on a standard response to something. So when we're asking you to literally do something different, your whole body responds to that, because that neural pathway has been it's like a ski slope, right? It's been ingrooved, it's been ingrained. So when we're asking you to now experiment and create and hold a pause, and I don't just mean physically like we're going to count to 10. I mean, we're giving them a whole idea around the ability to hold space, and what holding space is like. As an example, if you were holding space for someone who is mourning, most people want to talk and fix it. And we're like, you don't fix it. You can't fix it.
Yeah.
There's no fixing. Nothing can fix it. You need to be able to just hold that space for someone, which is very, go ahead.
So you go ahead, finish what you're saying.
No, which is that's just one small example. Okay. But it's just very difficult for people, because people want to fix, people want to do, they want to keep being active.
Yeah, busy, busy, busy. We're kind of
Busy.
addicted to busy. So how is holding space different from meditation, or is it similar?
So what, outside of the example that I just gave about holding space for someone who is in grief, what I mean is it's also not just holding space, it's being able to feel those moments of opportunity that are happening in our lives. But we miss a lot of moments of opportunity because we're doing. So it's different from meditation because meditation is a singular action. I'm not saying meditation wouldn't certainly help increase the kinesthetical field that I'm trying to describe here.
Mm-hmm.
But we have opportunities in life. Someone might have an opportunity come up, but they can't feel their way through whether this is appropriate or the timing. You'll often hear people say the timing wasn't right. Well, that's what I'm kind of getting at, is being able to feel your way through decisions. You're being able to feel your way through what is, so it's not just, most people are like, here's my pros, here's my cons, here's my list.
Right.
An analytical exercise. But then you'll hear people say, there's another type of person, which would be how I make my decisions. I do both, but then I'll be like, it didn't feel right. What does it mean? Well, it's so hard to describe. It didn't feel right, but I knew that the timing was off. Not that the opportunity won't come around, but a lot of people will be like, I'm going to jump on it now because it may not come around. And I'm like, trust that it's going to come around. Trust that this situation there's something else if it doesn't feel right, but a lot of people will override that feeling because they don't trust it and they don't know how to use it.
Yeah. I don't think we're taught from a young age really to learn to trust our intuitions and feelings. And so we all have it, but we have lost that ability. So it sounds like the beautiful work that you do is helping people get in touch with that again.
It is. And it's helping to, again, no matter what context we're talking about, entrepreneurship, grief and loss, or building happiness, resilience. It's really building resilience across all of those without thinking like, we've all been to school, we've got our degrees. I'm not here to teach you how to think. I don't want you to think. I want to teach you how to feel.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
So that you can connect into your body, I'm here to teach how to connect into timing, how to connect into your body, how to connect into a moment. And I think that we go outside of that, such as meditation, yoga, it just strengthens it. But we're not doing any of that here with horses. We're working on specific exercises that we have with our horses to do it, because I'm the facilitator. The horses are the teachers.
Beautiful.
They are.
How do you train the horses or are they just naturally?
Training. That's the whole point. If I train them, then it's a trick.
Right. And it's a mental
thing. Only training that goes. Yeah. The only training that they get is just to be safe, right? Like to be like how to walk, how to not, nip somebody.
Right.
Like there's no training on any of this. That's the whole point of it, is that their ability as a prey animal. So how they've evolved is exactly what we want to learn, which is because they're a prey animal, they're not, we're predators as humans, same as a lion or a bear. Yeah. So they have no natural defenses. They don't have sharp teeth. They don't have claws. They've got hooves. So their only real defense is their speed. They can outrun something. So they have developed over 55 million years, like a supersonic ability to feel. They can feel the respiration rate of a predator 1.5 miles away.
Incredible.
Yes. Not only that, but their nonverbal communication among the herd members is so sensitive that literally the rise of an ear or the rise of a shoulder, a tail switch, that's communicated. That ripple effect, that vibration is sent all through the herd. It's like a flock of birds. You see them, they're flying, and then all of a sudden they all turn one way in unison. Yeah. It's the same concept. That ability to feel that vibration throughout the entire herd is felt, and no one. It's like done. We're gone.
Yeah,
we're done.
we feel that as people sometimes. You can feel like a room go cold when a person walks in, or a room brighten up when a person walks in. So we do have some of that, but we're just, as you said, not really in tune with
It's
it.
dulled.
So
Dulled.
yeah,
It's been
yeah,
dulled all our lives, right? Because it's not valued.
you're
It's
right.
not
Not
it's
valued.
not a valued resource that we have. And it's part of us. It is 100% part of us. But we talk, that's why I say stop thinking about it, because we talk ourselves out of it. All that
Mhm.
little incessant talking that we have in our head, it has its place, but usually we're overdoing it. So when
Mhm.
you're worrying, you cannot overthinking is like a worry, which puts you either in the past or the future. And
Yes.
the only way to bring that stress down is to have to be in the moment.
Yes.
Worry
Yeah.
is only going to take you in two opposite directions, one or the other. And
Mhm.
you can't solve anything, because once you're in worry, it completely blocks you from your limbic system, which is where your creativity resides. You're only now in your neocortex, right? So your left brain. So you can't, or sorry, your right brain. So you can't, there's no imagination, there's no creativity to solve the problem in a worry state.
You're right. Absolutely. Yeah, beautiful. So you talked about this state where you, or the time when you let go of worry of the past or of the future, and you're calling that gap the Kairos time, right?
Kairos time is about it is that, but it's also building up that kinesthetic awareness to be able to feel timing in life, so
Mhm.
that we have the timing to work on opportunities when they come in, so that you can say, it felt right. The logic, logically I have made so many decisions in my life that logically on paper made no sense. Moving to my farm with my kids and and my husband and starting all this made no logical sense. None.
No.
None. But it's the best decision I ever did in my life, but I knew it was the best decision to do.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And we're really the only creatures that have worry. I don't
Yeah,
think there's
yeah.
no animals that think about, I mean, it's part of our gift and it's part of our curse is, this being able to think ahead or review the past, but it gets us stuck a lot of times.
It
So I,
does. And it has
yeah,
its place,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
the ability to, again, realize you're in a hamster loop,
yeah.
and then move forward with some new tools to be able to
Mhm.
disperse that worrying. And again, with horses, we bring it back to go back to grazing, because horses, if they've been stalked, let's say they're stalked by a predator, they all flee, they get away. 20 minutes later, they regroup. They don't ruminate over that. They don't sit there and go. They don't have a group discussion for 4 days about the size of that predator that they just escaped death, imminent death from.
Yeah,
They literally go back to grazing.
right,
They go
right.
back to grazing. They don't stay in that state.
Yeah,
Whereas the more we stay in that state, we're training our brains to stay in that. Like, we're training to go back to that state, and
yeah,
we're helping people to say, there's another way to do this.
yeah.
There's
And
another way to do this.
the sad thing is that because it's well known, that state becomes a
Normal.
habit for people and it becomes their normal and they don't even really realize that
And then we think
they're in
common,
that state.
right? And then we think because it's common, then it's normal. So
Yeah,
those two words get confused, right? Well, no, it's
definitely.
common, but it's not normal.
Yes, definitely. So on so many different things, common and normal are, it's one of those things I really talk about a lot. What's normal doesn't necessarily mean normal. It's common.
It's common.
Yeah, symptoms for,
Correct.
symptoms of poor health, they're common, like, all kinds of things. Anyway,
Yes.
we're getting down to our time now. So I want to ask you the final question I always ask people is, what is one action someone could take today to improve their health?
Sure. Here's the thing that I say, and I came up with this term years ago, and I call it the observer self. And I
Yes.
simply say, start paying attention to what your body is saying, and start to listen to your body. So start to listen a little bit more than you ever did, so that you can start to hear and start to realize that, wait a minute, I'm in overthinking. I've been worrying about this for days. You're not going to get a solution in that state. Okay, the quick question is, how do I get rid of that anxiousness? Ground yourself. Breathing, deep breaths from the stomach. I know this is going to sound but deep breathing from the stomach, and then ground yourself. We ground our horses all the time to get them, if they're in any kind of, it's like ground them. Ground ourselves, which means using all 5 of your senses: sight, taste, smell, touch, feel. I think I got them all. Anyways, to ground ourselves into our present moment. That's the biggest and fastest way to sort of reverse that stress part that's just got us up here.
Yeah.
We need to ground.
Yeah. Gail, it's like you said, so simple, but these little, a simple practice like that of just breathing, slowing down your breathing, and bringing your 5 senses in, because that automatically brings you in the present moment. So simple, but
but we're built for
profound.
I know, and if everybody thinks it's supposed to be something, some type of, I don't know, cartwheel or something. It's like, no, you just need to learn to breathe from your abdomen instead of those shallow breaths that are only coming from your chest.
Which we all knew how to do, because that's how babies breathe.
Of course.
We've changed it. We lose it. I think sometimes it's poor posture, sitting all the time. Yeah, I know. I think about it
more. But I think it's also, you have to be aware of it. And when you might get a fleeting thought, oh, I should, catch it, grab it as it's going by, and that ticker tape of worry, and go, and that's that 40% of your choice. Let's go back to the happiness research. We have 40% that is in our control, right? Of those are choices. So the choice is, I'm going to try this. Even though the brain is like, that's dumb, that's stupid, that's never going to work.
Yeah. Yep. Give it a try.
Because your brain, we're already made to do this, right? It's made to do this.
Yep.
We're physiologically created to do this.
Beautiful. I love it, Gail.
So I know it sounds simple, but that's the whole.
This has been
Thank you, Jane.
So interesting. Really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm sure the audience is going to get something out of it. I just love horses anyway, and love how you're using them in helping people heal. So, where can people find out more about you, Gail?
Our website is Sky Blue Acres. Sky is with an E-K-Y-E. It's skyblueacres.com.
Okay, Sky Blue Acres.
I'm on my Sky Blue Acres is on Facebook. Yeah, skyblueacres.com.
Yeah,
probably, you can find me on Gail Carruthers as well. I'm on Facebook as well. Yeah, that's the easiest way. But Sky is with an E.
Yeah.
So it's skyblueacres.com.
I'll add those links in the comments so that people will be able to find you if they want to. But thank you so much for coming on Wellness by Design today, Gail. It's been fabulous.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I love what you're doing, Jane. I think I love the whole premise of building the foundations for ourselves. It's perfect. It's well needed. So thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye, hon.